Hello, I'm Bud McCord. I'm here in Brazil, South America, December 16, 2021. Welcome to Food for Thought, Thinking with Jesus. I hope you're already focused on Jesus. We're in John chapter 19. We've been reading along in these verses for several weeks, and we are seeing Jesus, hearing Jesus, learning to love Jesus more deeply because he first loved us so that we can live Jesus or share Jesus. We're going to begin reading in chapter 19. And I just have to be fully honest. I've read this chapter last night, this morning, several times, and it is very difficult to read. It is so shocking. When you go into the scriptures and you imagine yourself there, it's almost unimaginable what it must have been like for John and Peter if they witnessed all of this and how much of it they witnessed. It's just shocking. It's almost like when you read it, when I read it again this morning several times, it's almost like you're just embarrassed to be a human being. Because even though we can sit back and look at Pilate and the other players in this story, that we can say, oh, well, that's not me. But can we say that? Can we ever say that we wouldn't do what they did? I don't think so. I don't think we're supposed to separate ourselves from what humanity has done and is doing, because we're all sinners and we've all fallen short. And so as I read these words and comment a little bit, I hope that you will just feel the emotional connection to this scene, and just by the time you get finished with it, just make sure you're still looking at Jesus, because if you're looking at humanity, you're going to be very depressed, maybe even fearful. So keep your eyes on Jesus as we read, and let him be what we come out of this with, because he is what we have to go forward as human beings. You remember that they had an opportunity to free Jesus, and then Barabbas would be taken and crucified. But they chose and cried out, not this man, not this man. This man is a problem. This man, Jesus. Let's get this over with. It's Easter week after all. It's the Passover after all. I'm on a schedule. Let's get this over with. In chapter 19, so then Pilate took Jesus and scourged him. For crying out loud, this is what comes into my mind. For crying out loud, why do you beat him up? Why does authority feel like it needs to beat people down? Jesus and scourged him, and the soldiers twisted a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put him in a purple robe, and then they said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him with their hands. What is it that human beings get out of humiliating somebody that's already bound and Pilate had said that he found no accusation in him. It's really hard to read. Pilate then went out again, because he's got to go out because the Jews can't come in, because they want to remain ceremonially pure. This is so bizarre. Pilate then went out again and said to them, "Behold, I am bringing him out to you, that you may know that I find no fault in him." For crying out loud, you just beat him. You find no fault in him? Is this how you treat people you find no fault in? Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and purple robe, and Pilate said to them, "Behold the man." It's like a play that he thinks he's in, or some sort of a political rally that he's in, trying to get this thing under control. Therefore, when the chief priests and officers saw him, they cried out and said, "Crucify him, crucify him." When I read this, I think they're in a hurry. They want this over. Jesus is a problem. This man is a problem. We need to get this done. We've got a religious schedule. It starts here, and church is going to start. And Pilate said to them, "You take him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him." Pilate wants out of this thing. He wants out of this thing, but he can't be seen as weak, so he's got to beat Jesus up, and he's got to act like he's got it under control. The Jews answered him, "We have a law." Yeah, you have the law that Jesus gave you. You have a law that Jesus is fulfilling. And according to our law, he ought to die, because he made himself the Son of God. He didn't make himself the Son of God. He is the Son of God. Therefore, when Pilate heard that saying, he was more afraid. And perhaps this is the thing that most called my attention is, if you want to put a word on the Jewish representatives, these leaders, and then the Roman leaders, is they were all full of fear. And fear makes people do atrocities, horrible things. Fear is not our friend when it comes to treating other people well. We have to be free of fear in order to love as we love. And where there is fear, there are people that are going to do this kind of stuff. And when we are afraid, we also hurt people. And went again into the praetorium and said to Jesus, where are you from? He's looking for somewhere on earth that he can identify this guy. But Jesus gave him no answer. Then Pilate said to him, are you not speaking to me? Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you and the power to release you? Now, this is the man who's afraid. But you'd never know he's afraid by all this pomp and circumstance, but he's afraid. Jesus answered, you could have no power at all against me unless it had been given you from above. Therefore, the one who delivered me to you has the greater sin. Wow, what a contrast. He's already been beaten. He's already been humiliated. He's been arrested. He's innocent. But he still is saying, look, this is a part of a plan that you don't understand. And if it couldn't happen unless my Father had said, this is the plan, this is the way, we're going through here, and Jesus is going through here. From then on, Pilate sought to release him, but the Jews cried out, saying, if you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. Wow. You got to be Caesar's friend. Remember, Jesus says, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's and the things of God that are the things that belong to God. This world ran on this thing of you got to be the friend of the right person for the thing to work out for you and for you to be safe. Whoever makes himself a king speaks against Caesar. Well, now we got a bigger problem because they brought Caesar into the question. And we all know we've got to bow down to that. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Jesus out, sat him down on the judgment seat at a place that is called the Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the preparation day of the Passover. Mark that. This is the day the Passover feast is beginning to be celebrated. And about the 6th hour, which is about noon, and he said to the Jews, behold your king. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said to them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priests, the religious leaders of those days, we have no king but Caesar. They're lying. They don't really love Caesar. They'd like to kill Caesar if they could. But they're using this system around them to get what they want, which is they think Jesus is a problem and a threat. Then he delivered him to be crucified, and they took Jesus and led him away. This is so difficult to read, and I hope you'll read it again. It is so difficult to read because you want to separate yourself from it. You want to be on Jesus' side. But remember that he told all of his disciples, when they strike me, you guys are going to go home. You guys are going to run away. You guys are going to deny. And Peter said, no, I'm different. I'm really different. I know, I'll be right there for you. You can count on me. We need to put ourselves into this picture. We are a part of humanity, and this is what humanity does. And we should not separate ourselves. If you go forward and read in Romans chapter 2, he said, do not judge. You do the same things. We all need to come to this cross and look at Jesus. And we just need to say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then be quiet. And believe. And keep believing. And if you ever doubt your faith, come back here. This is not a man-made story. This is a God-orchestrated sacrifice so that we could be free. It is hard to read, but imagine if you had been there watching it happen. It's really breathtaking. Have a great day. It's not an easy thing to listen to, but it was good for me. I pray it will be good for you too. God bless you.